Yeah, 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 yeah. You're now tuned into the one and only place where you can get what's needed on your plate, along with what's going on in your hood. Candy Lady's gonna keep you up to date with events going on round your way. What's really good? SC by Black locally, keep them dollars circulating in your own community. It's the SCBBL show. You're now tuned into the SCBBL show. Rock on. Rock on.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the SCBBL show. Today starts off with our 8-week Mondays with Moms, and we're going to be talking about homeschooling options for your children. We know that everybody is kind of like faced with this right now, trying to make decisions on what they should do. Is it the right decisions for their family? And so I thought, what better way to help the community out than to go into an 8-week series as we prepare to go back to school with some moms who have some meat in the game with this, homeschooling their children, being stay-at-home moms, and just juggling the whole nine. And my very first guest on to start this off is Mrs. Donyelle Taylor. Hi, Donyelle.
Hi, Candace. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good.
So I was working with your husband, telling him all about my homeschooling, adventures. And he was like, yeah, me and my wife have been doing this for X amount of years now. And so we brought you in when we started our homeschool co-op.
Yes.
So you were the first one to come to mind when I thought about launching this. And I want to say thank you so much for accepting the invitation.
Oh, you're welcome.
So go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself and your homeschool journey.
Okay, I've been homeschooling for 5.5 years. It'll be 6 years about January. We pulled our kids out halfway through the school year when my son was in 3rd grade. We had we were intending to start homeschooling from the beginning, but we have such a strong family base in education, educators, school board members, and they were just like, the school's here to help your child, depend on it. So we decided that was the best thing for us to do. And with our children being in magnet school, Montessori, arts, they had the works, they had the best schools, but it just did not fit well for us. And so we started a plan. My son was in 1st grade, had a really good teacher, kind of on the rocks as he did Montessori, and it just wasn't his thing. So we put him in a traditional school at a magnet school. And it changed, it didn't sit well. So the next year we said, let's just keep going. His grades were always fine, but it was just more of the social aspect that didn't sit well with us. And so for his 2nd grade year, he had an awesome teacher who had all the resources. She had been in the game for 23 years, so she knew what to do. She tested the children on her own. We worked with our kids at home as well at the time, even though they were in public school, magnet school. And she tested him and found out that he was reading 2.5 grade levels ahead and gave him work for that. And did the same thing with every child in her classroom, and was just awesome. So it made us feel better about the class. It was just classroom, and she was able to handle the situations better because of her experience. Right. And then the very next year, we said we stick it out. This whole time, I was working full time as well, and we were living on two incomes. We were 2-income household, and we were dependent on my income, but we had always been preparing to pay everything off financially so we could be stable in case we made the decision to homeschool. We wouldn't have to struggle financially.
Yeah.
So it allowed us to prepare as well. The next year, he had a very, very new teacher, maybe her 2nd year teaching, and I had started subbing part-time for the school district. So if I needed to be there, I was there, which a lot of parents saw the same thing I did. There was a need for help in the classroom. She just didn't have that experience. She was a great teacher, but she just needed more experience with the classroom. So when I would come in, there would be several, like at least two other parents in the room helping, and it just didn't sit well with us.
What was it, if you don't mind me asking, what was some of the things you picked up on from your son that let you know that it wasn't a good fit for him?
The whole fit, the whole classroom situation, he would say, "Mom, I can't hear.
Mm-hmm.
Children are running around the classroom." And of course, you don't believe this. So
Right.
I stopped by, and children were literally, she had her back to the board, and she was just trying to do math, just like any teacher. And kids were literally running around the class.
Oh
when parents came in, we had to parent the class. Like, we had to literally say, like, we had to help out with classroom management. And it comes with experience. But sometimes, and I think this culture of children and parents, a lot of them don't respond well to authority figures. And there was clearly that in our classroom at the time. And my son had not been the only child complaining, and I was not the only parent saying, "Oh, excuse me, we have an issue here."
Mm-hmm.
Because when I would show up to help, and I would just come,
Right.
there would be two other parents in the room. One mom, she was like, "Sit down, do this," and I'd be like, "Okay, guys, we gotta do this." And one mom would be like, "I'm just here to make sure my son learns." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness, this is not normal." And
Right.
parents would care, but some parents would not.
Yeah.
And so it was like a battle within the classroom, literally. And it just wasn't, we weren't sure, like, is this something that we're going to see every year? Is this something that I'm going to have to do, for the next year? The next year it could be a toss up. He may have a great teacher like he had the year before.
Right.
It started off, what really made us from the beginning kind of, say, wait a minute, what's going on here? His kindergarten year, he had 5 teachers. It was a brand new school. His first teacher had a background in Montessori. She was wonderful, but there was the same kind of social structure, lack of parent involvement. There were the parents that were there, and there were the parents that did not care, even though it was a magnet school.
Right. Wow.
And it was the same thing as his kindergarten year. And she quit without any warning in the middle of the school year. So she left before Christmas break, and she did not come back. And the teacher assistant was there. They had a sub as a permanent teacher. The teacher assistant had to, take over because there was a different person every week. She quit.
Oh my God.
A temporary permanent sub. She quit. The classroom was just so outrageous. We counted 5 teachers. They brought in another teacher assistant, and then I was just like, we cannot bring our children. We cannot do this.
Yeah.
I was working full time. I couldn't take days off anymore. My husband couldn't take days off anymore. So we had to call and pull on my mom to come in, my sister. Like, we were literally a village trying to educate this child in the school already that was there. And so when his 3rd grade year, we saw these patterns again. I was just like, we cannot. We're prepared. Let's do what we need to do. And we did it. We tried. We really did. I was like, we tried. We would show up, and the principal would be like, "Hi, Miss Taylor. Hi, Mr. Taylor. Oh, no, you just go straight in. We know who you are." Right. And we're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be the helicopter parent. And the other parent would be in there. And then he would say, "Oh, we know you're helping."
Mm-hmm.
But the school can't afford to have a helper help the teacher.
Right.
It has to be the parents. And without the parents' involvement, the class could not be successful. I mean, it would be to the point where there were several math tests. We would teach our son at home, so we weren't worried about him, but there would be several math tests where the class average was F and below. And this is third grade. So it was like F, well, how can you get below failing? But it was like you know, 60
Zero.
and below.
Zero.
It was 60 and below. And so the teacher would send that home. And for our son, we saw his average at this time drop from an A in math to a C. And this particular test, he made like a 74. And I was like, well, how could it? He was like, well, you taught me everything that I passed, and I couldn't hear the teacher anyway.
Wow.
And so she would send it home, let the kids work on it at home, and send it back in, and then she would retest them, which sometimes didn't work. But she could only do it so many times because they had to take national testing as well.
Right.
So they didn't fall behind, and her class was behind the other classes.
And it takes the kids long enough to kind of get used to just getting back into the swing of school after summer break, and to have to experience a turnover of 5 teachers, and then you can't hear the teacher, the kids are running wild. That's just a total distraction, a total focus kill, everything. So, and for him to say that everything that he passed, he was taught by his mom, it's almost like, those are all the signs that I need to be doing this.
And we did. We were reluctant because we were stepping into an area that, one, we had never seen. We've only seen it when he was a baby. We had like a couple people, our pastors, they homeschool, but we'd never seen just regular people, you know. Right. And we had definitely not seen brown or black people.
Right.
And we had the most pushback from telling brown and black people that we were homeschooling. And we had to be settled with ourselves, and we made that leap. We literally made a leap, and everyone, they were like went on break, and I was like, tell your friends goodbye.
Right.
We're doing this. And the funny thing about it was, all the parents, they were like, oh my gosh, but you were always here. Like, we volunteered, we were on a PTA, we were at every meeting. And so the teachers were like, oh my gosh, we're really going to miss you. Mm-hmm. And we were sad. We didn't want to do this. We were preparing, but we were not like this, because it was just so quick. And we were just like, let's just go. Let's do it. And
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about that some more. When you decided that you were going to do this, like you said, you hadn't seen many other people doing it. So how did you navigate, the ambiguity? How do you choose? Which options do you choose? Like, how do I do this thing? Like, what was that like for you?
So we had, like I said, we had prepared. We had already done work with them at home. So when they came from school, even in the summertime, they had like little mom notebooks. So we'd have workbooks. We would just give them math just to make sure they were up on their grade level or advanced. And they would do those already. So we had notebooks ready. And when we decided that the end of his second grade year, when class started getting crazy, we started doing research. And my husband actually was the one to be, digging on the internet, and he found a blog by some random homeschooler. And we knew, we had met through church one other lady who homeschooled. Mm-hmm. And she was a brown lady. She was Black. And she was the only one.
Right.
And she, we listened to this blog. I told her about this blog, and she said, hey, I know someone who uses that homeschool association. They're based out of Beaufort. Mm-hmm. I kept the number. I wrote down the name of that lady doing the blog, or that, and I just held on to it. And it was literally in the back of a notebook, like, you're like paying bills or something. Yeah. The back of that notebook, like, was in the back of my closet, and I dug it out. And I said, I need to talk to her. And I got her advice. And she was like, if you want to finish the school year, finish the school year. We'll be here. And she gave me some advice, and she gave me her website. On her website, it was just kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
But everything that I wanted to do about, homeschool, to me, that looked like school. They had science fairs. They had co-ops. Nice. They had violin class. They had guitar, piano, voice lessons. They had history fairs. They had prom, which to me, I'm like, if we do this, they have prom, like our graduation? I'm like, oh my gosh, she's going to miss graduation.
Yeah.
They had it all. And that to me was most important.
Are you still with that association, and are they still around?
They are, and they are still based out of Beaufort, and they have expanded, I think, from Beaufort to Bluffton now. And they actually are right on the coast of right on the edge of Savannah or Georgia, and I forget what little town that is. It's just right off of the coast of South Carolina.
What's the name?
It's Low Country Homeschool Association, and I still keep in contact with her. I have a question about homeschooling. She's been doing this for over 20 years. I'm like, Donna, what's going on? What are you doing? It's 12 o'clock at night, but I know tomorrow you're going to get back with me.
Right.
And so I just kind of just keep in contact with them. It's just a little drive for us, so we never did the co-op. So we would do the meetups and the field trips and like the science fair, or they have a social fair where like kind of like history, but it's social studies, and they just you just kind of pinpoint one country at a time.
Okay.
And we go do a big report on a country. The kids do.
Awesome.
And
I added that name in the comment section. Giles, I got you. She said she was on their Zoom this Saturday. So thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then their graduation, which is great.
Yep. So how did you choose, though, like the options? Can you talk about the options, like option 1, 2, and 3?
Okay. So option 1, 2, or 3. Okay. I made sure I wrote it down so I didn't want to get this information incorrect. 1 allows the parents to homeschool underneath the school district. And when we were first looking at homeschooling our son, our oldest, and he was going to K-5 at the time, I got in contact with the school district, and they sent me a pamphlet this thick and was like, you figure it out. I read through it, and I was like, I'm not doing this. But in the pamphlet, they made sure that if you chose option 1, you needed to understand that they're not going to provide you with any books. They're not providing you with anything. They're not required to test your child. You have to make sure it happens. You're still responsible for everything. They get the test scores. They get credit for the test scores.
Got it. So you're still responsible, but the school gets the credit for the test scores because of the material that you can follow their material, but you're responsible for.
Yeah, they won't be responsible for anything, but they will get credit for the test scores. And I was just like, no help, no anything. And I'm just like, support.
Right.
What if I need support?
I have no idea what I'm doing here.
Yeah. And it was scary to me. And like I said, I when I asked him to send it to me, I didn't tell anyone. So I'm like thinking like, my mom's not gonna help me. So the school district, they're not gonna really help me. Right. I didn't know anything or anyone at this time. So
yeah,
I was like, no, like I had to dig for the information. And
I think we were talking about option 2, and you said that wasn't really a thing at first. Option 2.
Yeah. So option 2, when I went to go make sure what I was looking up was correct, when I was looking and when I put my kids out for option 2, it wasn't this great. It was just like they're there, you have to mail in this packet, and it was more done, but it was not online. Now they're online, option 2, and it is the South Carolina Association of Independent Homeschools. They're online. They have support. They have tutors. They have graduation. They have it all. And this does have a fee, though. They have a fee starting at $350 for the first child, $50 for the second and third child. If you have more than that, they don't charge you for any other children. And if you have a kindergartner and an older child, the kindergartner gets to go for free.
Okay.
So they have with this option, you still choose the curriculum, and they have a list of curriculum for you to choose from if you need help. And they have tutors that are trained and probably teachers as well.
Can you give me that name for option 2 again?
It is South Carolina Association of Independent Homeschools. 1 second, please.
while Donyelle is grabbing something, guys, is there any questions that you have for her regarding your homeschool journey or your contemplating homeschool that she can answer for you guys? You can go ahead and leave some comments. I can kind of speak for what we've been doing. We are through the at home school in the Low Country Association. They're on Facebook as well. And we're heading into our third year. And it's like she said, it's not easy. It's kind of like you have to get into the being okay with allowing your child to unlearn the school system ways, as well as allow yourself to get used to treading the not getting up well, you can kind of keep your same time schedule, but getting them prepared to go back to being in school. So Donyelle will be joining back in probably about 5 minutes. But you have to just be patient with yourself, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Just do research, look for different organizations within your communities. There's a lot of them that's on Facebook. This is an opportune time for many people to like get together in your own communities and kind of like just start your own organizations. I'll be talking with my mom on Wednesday, and she's been the director of Love and Helping Hands Homeschool Co-op, and you guys can bring questions for her as well around what it's like running a co-op, or being around the kids and being responsible for trying to teach them different things. There she is. She's back. So join in on Wednesday as well at 6:30, and we'll be talking more about homeschool co-ops as well. So Donyelle, while you were going, I asked them if they had any questions. And one of the questions was, what is Low Country's role in the process? Are they just like a support system?
So when you choose to homeschool in South Carolina, you have to have a legal covering, and Low Country Homeschool Association is your legal covering. They would act as your school secretary, and they will keep up with your transcripts. They will keep up with your child's grades. For 9th through 12th grade, they will keep up with their ranking and make sure that they qualify for South Carolina Life or Hope or Palmetto scholarships for college. So they're really your legal protection. And another good thing about Low Country Homeschool Association, I can't talk for all of them. I could just speak for the ones that, I use them. So it's inexpensive. They offer so much, but they're also inexpensive. They are about $32 a year for the entire family. A lot of homeschool associations are kind of expensive, and they don't even offer as much. Right. They can be up from the hundreds to the thousands, depending on what you want. Some homeschool associations, I know that they even proctor exams at one point. I'm not sure how things are looking because of coronavirus, or how co-op will look because of coronavirus. We don't know what school is going to look like for anyone.
Right. Yep.
But they make sure the children are, have activities. They make sure that it's affordable, especially because most homeschool families, not all, usually are living off of one income.
Right. Another question was, any options that focus on African-centered history? I know that we chose option 3 for that reason, so that we had, we were responsible for what we wanted to teach our children in that regard.
That's true. There are lots of options now. I want to say, I have to look it up, but there's one program that I have some friends that really like. It's called Camilla Academy, and they are Afrocentric teaching, and they teach from a Black history and an African history point of view. But as with most curriculum, we have to be responsible to teach our children our own history.
I don't know if I'm frozen or if we just froze. Let's see.
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay.
But this is written by someone else. And like, I know most of us in the low country are in South Carolina because we have that strong Gullah Geechee background. Our parents taught us anyway. We didn't learn
Right.
that. So what we know our parents taught us, we have to teach that to our children intentionally, because you're usually not going to find it in a book unless you're reading that book or you choose it. And what we did, the first curriculum we chose was all-in-one homeschool, easy peasy. And I suggest that to everyone because it is the easiest thing to transition on from if you're coming from school. And it's a curriculum is all set out. It meets all of South Carolina, standards by law. There's 180 days curriculum. We're required by South Carolina law to teach for 180 days. That's it. One lesson a day per subject. And they teach from a classical point of view. And as they get older, it's teaching them to be more independent.
Awesome.
And it's based on a mastery. It's based on mastery. So it's not just like, oh, well, we went over that yesterday. You don't understand it. Keep going. It's, oh, no, we went over this last week. We're going to go over it again this week. Do you know it? Because when they get older, they get advanced and they need to know it. They have to know it. In order to be
I'm
successful.
going to actually go back through the comments after the video and leave some of that so that I don't take up time trying to ask you how to spell it and things like that for the African Centered one and the transitioning from public school into homeschooling all in one that you just gave out. Yeah. There was one other question too, or comment. Nikita Evie says, I have a program at my center to help parents if they are confused and unsure of what to do this school year. So guys, Nikita is in the comments, so make sure you reach out to her and you would like more from someone in the area. So thank you, Nikita. Let's see, what else are we going to discuss tonight? A lot of times we might feel like we're failing our children because we're new to this, we're taking them out of public school, we're taking them away from their friends. Can you kind of talk about what that transition was like for your oldest?
Okay, so for my oldest, at the time, my youngest, our oldest daughter, she was in first grade, so she did a half a year too. So what we did with them was we kept them in everything. He was in karate, she did African dance, and she did ballet. They really didn't socialize in school. They were in magnet school, and I told my husband, I was like, I feel kind of bad for them because even like with my son, his class got so far behind the other two third grade classes that they cut recess for them. So they would be going to lunch and then back to the classroom because they had to get back on level. They were behind. Right. And his class, it wasn't because the children weren't smart. He had some brilliant children in his class. They were behind because the classroom situation just could not get under control. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like the teacher's hands were tied, the parents' hands were tied, and the principal just could not. What do you do in that situation? They didn't socialize. They had a 10-minute lunch. The parents got upset because of the 10 minutes lunch, and they pushed it to 15 minutes. What adult eats in 15 minutes a full meal?
Indigestion.
He wouldn't eat. He would come home, and my daughter, I would pack them extra. So we would, leave school, get a little break, about an hour and a half break, go to karate, go to dance, go to, ballet or whatever. They have more, he would still have his lunch in his lunchbox. If they talked at lunch, they would get in trouble. They had red little cups that, what do you do?
I agree with that. You can't talk in class. You can't talk at lunch. You don't get recess. It's like your children are prisoners.
That's how I felt. And I felt that, we put them in the best school in our school district. And I really felt that I was doing them a disservice for their youth, for their childhood.
Right.
I was like, they're losing their childhood. They're losing their innocence. And I could just see the spark in them both just kind of crumble.
Right.
What do you do when you see your child stop loving to learn and stop loving to go to school?
Yeah. It's totally different from how when we were growing up, you know. And I think that kind of tied into the next topic, which was how does it compare to public school? We kind of just talked about that. At home, you know, you have a set amount of work. I don't know if you do it where it's like within this certain amount of time, you have to get this amount of work done, or is it you give them what they have, what they're required to do, and you kind of let them turn it in as they get it done. You kind of talk about that from your perspective.
So from my point of view, I just wanted my kids to love to learn. I didn't want to mimic the school schedule. I didn't want to be so militant in their learning. What really broke me was, like I said, I saw them learning to not love to learn anymore. And you have to learn for the rest of your life. So to start at such a young age at hating to learn was just a bad sign for me. So for me, it was more, let's do this. Let's get as much as you can get done. If you don't get it done, it's fine. We don't have to school Monday through Friday. We have Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. I do not have to school you from 8 to 3. We have 3 to 11. Mm-hmm. When it gets done, it gets done.
Right. Yep.
So,
love it.
And
I think it's a little bit of in the beginning.
Yeah, it was a push and pull in the beginning. It was a lot of push and pull. It's still some push and pull because I'm mom.
Right. Yep. And you expect
you have regular behavior that you're going to do with your child. Yep. The only difference is I can see that we have a different type of relationship and we do have a respect for each other that's different from a lot of parents.
Right.
They can come to me and say, I don't really like this. And, you know, with the attitude about this. Okay, well, we talk about it. You still have to do it. Put all your stuff out there. Go deal with how you're feeling right now. And we'll get back to this. But it's got to get done. Take a moment. Take a minute.
Yep. I understand your frustration, but you're going to get this work done.
Yeah. I mean, you get today, tomorrow, Sunday. Oh, you wanted to go out with your friends?
Mm-hmm.
How soon can you get that math work done? Really?
Love it.
The game, for sure. Okay, get your work done.
Right.
But the thing that I saw changing them the most was we also did classical conversation for the past 3 years, 2.5 years, because we entered that on a half year as well. Because our one of our homeschool co-ops kind of shut down. And they were just not happy about it. And they were saying how they want to go to school, but I knew what they were missing was that camaraderie in their friends. So we did classical conversation, which is a co-op. It's kind of like a private homeschool situation. They get a tutor. They have the curriculum. The tutor goes over the curriculum with them, and they have their class that they meet with once a week, and then they do the work at home.
Okay.
It gives me a break and them a break from me. so they don't get their work done. Also have that positive peer pressure while you have your friend that's doing their work and they're on, they're doing it. And we kind of took a break from everything this year, which kind of worked out because the whole Corona situation. And I just let them kind of unschool because we have that rising ninth grader. And I was like, this is your year before you have to take it serious. And they read both we did a book club and they just started eating, like literally eating literature, classical literature, eating novels. I mean, I would be up like, who was up in my house 3 o'clock in the morning? And I be in the room and they're like this. And I'm like,
oh, that is amazing.
I couldn't be mad at that. Like,
love that.
Reading. And my daughter, she was, they both would be like, oh, we hate reading. And so we kind of unschooled with class, and did classical conversations. And we did a mix this year, classical conversations and all-in-one homeschool. But I pretty much just kind of laid off, and they both read about 50 novels this school semester. And I was like, okay. See, I thought you didn't like reading. sometimes it's just like you need a break from each other. Sometimes when mom lays off and just guides them, they are just give them the freedom to learn. They just consume, and this is why I wanted to homeschool them. I
Yes.
couldn't. I had to fight them to read while they were in school. You know.
And a lot of times is that the material is just so far away from anything that they can relate to that it just makes it hard for them to get into actually reading. So having that freedom to kind of choose, or is something that really draws them in, and you kind of like let them have their own pace. It's amazing.
It is. It really is.
So Donyelle, as we kind of wrap up, because you tied into the last topic point, which is where can I learn more? You were kind of dropping those throughout as we talked, and I know that you're going to go back to the comment section and probably drop some more tidbits of information there. So is there anything that like really just excites you? I know you touched on like the moments of seeing them really just get into the groove and doing positive things from, their experience. Is there anything else that kind of like really excites you about just the homeschooling in general when you think of it and you just want to tell other parents about this?
Just being there and watching your children and having that time with them.
Yeah.
When they were in school, when I tell you we woke up at 6:30, I dropped them off to school. I went to work. I got off. I picked them up. An hour later, they were in whatever, dance, karate, and we would not get home some nights until 9:30. And then they still had schoolwork.
Right.
The frustration level in my house while they were in school was out of this world. And we just all had to be on a schedule. I had to get up. I had to be functional. I had to teach other people's children.
Right.
And then, I have to come back to my own children and I have to try to deal with myself and them. And just a level of relaxation that we have when I tell you we have things like they had classes with, COVID kind of changed a lot of stuff. But we don't,
Right.
It's wake up. I've let them now listen to their body and I know their body rhythms. They're at that teen tween age where they would be going to school later anyway. If they want to sleep in a little, they sleep in. They get their work done. It's not a let's go type of deal.
Yeah.
It's kind of, okay, do you got it? Do you need help? And most of the time it's the independent learning habits that they picked up. It's more, let me figure it out. I got it. Or, oh, okay, now I need your help.
Right. Yep.
And just relaxing, just knowing that they can think for themselves and learn and actually like it.
Awesome.
And another thing I didn't even touch on this, but was the testing. South Carolina doesn't require testing for homeschoolers, but a lot of studies show that when homeschoolers do test, a lot of them are testing 1 to 2 years ahead of what their grade level is. And I think it's because they have less pressure on them to learn, even though they are still learning. One quick other thing was, people saying, are they prepared? Can I do this? By the laws in the state of South Carolina, if you have a GED, you are prepared to teach your child. You can do it. GED, high school diploma, that's all you need. You can do it. And if you don't feel like you can, if you don't feel like you're capable, there is help.
Definitely. Yep. So you're going to be finding out help throughout this 8-week series. Donyelle is the first of many. You have Nikita in the comment section. You have my mom, who we'll be talking to on Wednesday. And next Monday is the 3rd. We'll be talking to Tish Fields from North Carolina, who's also a homeschooling mom. So there's help out there. There's associations out there. There's some in the comments. Donyelle will go through the comment section and leave some more tidbits around the questions there. Giles says thank you. She gives thanks for this call because you've confirmed a lot of what she's found in her research so far. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to help.
So I want to say, yep. Go ahead and finish your thought, Donyelle.
Okay. Also, feel free to contact me. I don't mind helping. Even though we homeschool, I can take a break whenever I want to. There's an email I have set up that if you have any questions about homeschooling, if you want to Zoom or just call and chat, it's totsandteen17@gmail.com. If you don't know where to get started with curriculum, honey, I have curriculum for days, for years, from kindergarten to 12th grade. It's free. There's some curriculum that will be up into a couple thousand per child. I have ways to get around it, honey. We can make it work. You can work full time and still homeschool your kids. I did it for 2 years. Is it fun? No, but you can do that. If that's what you desire, if this is what you want to do for 1 year, do it for 1 year and put them back in school. If you feel like you can do it for 1 month, start at the 1 month. But there's no rules to what you can and how you can do it. Make it your own experience.
Yes. I think she wrapped that up beautifully. I'm going to leave it there. And I want to say thank you so much once again, Donyelle, for accepting the invitation to share your experience with these moms and other families who are considering what should we do given the circumstances. So like she said, her email is also in the description of this live video. So you can make sure you reach out to her if you have any further questions. And we will sign off here. And we want to say thank you all for attending. Other people about the rest of the 8-week series that's coming up. And we'll be doing this every Monday, time between 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., depending on our mommy schedules. And we'll be here for you to share that information as much as we possibly can. So thank you. It's your girl, Candace, signing off for South Carolina by Black Locally, along with Mrs. Donyelle Taylor. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
SCBBL show. Rock on.